construction coming, Chino Hill, don't worry, no competition. But the thing is that what I do is so similarly entwined with what you do with your client. And I know, especially with a lot of you, very much a lot of you, that what's most important to you is that your clients have that smooth transition handoff so that their further thought of you in the future is they did everything right, even leading up to handing me off to my management company. So that when they're ready to sell, when they're ready to reinvest, when they're ready to buy again, they're coming back to you. Our goal as a company is to make sure that your job is easier, that I'm helping you close those deals, that I'm giving you all the information that you need and giving you a way out of going, listen, I'm not sticking that number on your house, right? But it's coming together to create the perfect package for your clients. Last year as a company, following the BOLD laws, our motto was don't mistake movement for achievement. I think in Big Bear and in vacation rentals in general, we get really hung up on the next house, the next sale, the next contract, the next close, similarly to real estate agents. I'm looking for the next sale, the next contract, the next close, right? But I can do that all I want, but if there isn't any level of service, if there isn't any level of achievement, we are not doing a service to you, to me, or to any of these owners of Big Bear and to our community. I think you all know that the community has been very tough on vacation rentals, and rightly so in some respects. So our goal as a company is to make sure that through this process of them becoming a part of our community, buying in Big Bear, next step is to make sure that they have a love and an appreciation for our community. That the community members understand that we are giving to the community, we're a piece of that, we're not taking from it. And that happens in a number of levels in what you do and in what we do as well. So that brings us through to 2023. Our new motto this year is love our owners completely. Our owners are everything. And if we look from any one perspective of if you come to me, Tyler, and you say, Christina, I need a pro forma on this. Great, I want to service Tyler. I want to help KW. But what I really want to do is love that owner. Am I loving them completely when I'm putting this project together? Am I slapping it together? Am I giving them good data? Did I really dig deep enough? Did I do my research? If a guest comes in and needs something at my front desk, is my staff properly trained? Are they presenting properly? Is my building in good condition? Am I presenting a good product? Is that loving my owner completely? And so as a company, we come to you to say that we know you have a lot of choices. We know that there, especially after COVID, everyone's a vacation rental manager. Everyone can do it. But the truth is, it is an in-depth business that takes more than just cleaning and booking. It takes a love of the community. It takes a love of our owners, and it takes a knowledge of the industry. I have been with the company for going on 10 years in July. I've been a real estate agent for 4 years. And my license is used predominantly to help and assist you. I do not do any transactions. It is strictly so that we are on the same page and we are connected in a way that I don't think a lot of people can be in that bridging that gap. I think a lot of you know we're full service. I don't need to go too deep into all of our products and everything that we offer. If you guys want to talk about that, we can do that more closely, set up time. I'd love to have lunch with you. If you guys have your individual teams and you have your meeting and you need a quick 5 minutes of my time, 10 minutes, I'm happy to do that as well anytime. I did bring packets for you guys. No, they do not receive a stapled piece of paper as a marketing piece. This is actually our new product. So you guys are getting the first view with this. So our glossy booklets that are nicely binded will be coming in, but this is the type of service and quality of detail that your clients receive when they sign on with us. Once they sign their contract, this is immediately what they get. It's a reference guide, info for what to expect, and so that they know what's going on at any given moment. If they have a question, I'm basically teaching them an entire business model in a couple times. There's not enough time to absorb everything. They're mostly concerned with what are we going to do with how much money we're in, right? That's really what they want to know. They don't realize they need to know how do I remove snow? What happens in the winter when the water doesn't turn off? Where's the investment for the check? Who pays the taxes? Who pays the sales tax? How much is that by the way? They don't even know what they don't know. So in teaching that, we try to make this palatable as possible. And when they sign up, they get this reference guide. They get an owner account manager that will be with them for the life of their contract. So there's no ping ponging back and forth. That person is the hub of all the owner.
With this packet not be something you want in their hands prior to that agreement? Can you send it to us in a PDF?
Absolutely. First, we'll receive this through a PDF file. Yeah, pre-COVID, I would spend my weekends much like your cars around. I would sit out 5 to 8 kitchen tables a Saturday. And start 12-hour days from house to house to house. This is why you want to sign with me. This is why you want to sign with me. Post-COVID, I meet 10% of my owners on my program. Everything is done Zoom, virtually, phone call, DocuSign. I go do the house without them because now it's Cuba. Those laptops are very big. So creating that bond can be difficult without that face-to-face, but being thorough in the ways of the company. So this is not just to you guys, it's to you and to our new marketing materials and what that's going to look like, and just a level of quality of your clients. Any questions? I'll close up with the gift and then this thing, but any questions about that? Sorry, I don't get going.
No, I've worked with a lot of you. Those of you that haven't, give me a call. It's really fun. I'm really fun. Asked him. Awesome. So Jim, we realized that you and I actually haven't had this conversation, although I think we have a little bit, but referral fees. So when you send a client to me, when they sign a contract, you get a referral check from me. So you might see me popping into the office. I usually come with cards, gifts. If you send me a referral at all, we want to honor that as well. So at the end of the year, we'll actually have the agents with the highest referrals. So it's my job to close that deal. If it's a legitimate referral, we want to honor that. So the real estate agent with the highest referral total to me at the end of the year is going to get something awesome too. Yes, sir.
What's your policy on returning that?
Absolutely. So we keep a very detailed log of everybody you ever refer to me. When they are ready to list their property or even buy a new property, it doesn't have to be the same property, but that client specifically, I automatically look to see who referred them. And I go, great, you're looking to buy, sell, whatever. Let me give, Steve a call. I know you work with him. He's a great agent. Let me put you back in his hands. And they might say, no, I was thinking something else. And I go, fantastic. And I would give Steve a heads up and go, just so you know, they're in the market, but for the most part, yes. They go, fantastic, I'd love to talk to them again. So always the referring agent to me first. No, like, oh, top of the list plus 2 others, nothing like that. If you referred them to me, hands down, you need to go back to Steve. He's going to take good care of you. We do referral fee agreements as well. We are a brokerage. I'm a licensed agent. So if I get someone who goes, hey, I'm looking in Big Bear, who can take care of me? I've got the perfect agent for you. You need to call Melissa. She's going to be a great fit for you. And then we send over the referral fee agreement. Anything else?
So if you and I need to have a conversation around referral fees, we like them.
Fantastic.
We like
Like I said, I've been doing this for a long time, and I realized like Jim and I have just never had this conversation. Some brokerages do not. They feel like it's a conflict of interest. Again, I'm not trying to sell real estate. My job is not to take any clients. My job is to reward the agents that are sending us the business that we partner with and that I know are ethical, that are going to do a good job. I have the same goals you have. You want your clients to be well taken care of. You want a good review back for whoever you referred them to. We have the same goals. So that's where we're coming from. Some people just don't. I didn't think you would have an issue with it, but as I was saying, coming out of my mouth, I realized. Talk to you.
As a brokerage, we're not in the property management business.
Exactly.
We know how we want to be.
Exactly.
And some are. So we're not. So we work with you and others.
Yes.
Service weeks.
Mhm.
And so does breakfast.
Because food's always good.
Any other questions?
Yes, sir.
About in the past, it seemed like there was quite a nice, generous referral fee, but that client, when they went to sell down the road, you're kind of letting Aaron take it.
Mm-hmm.
And that's where she gets a lot of her business.
Yeah. Yeah.
You might have changed that part.
That is a fair concern, and definitely the biggest concern I heard when I stepped into this role. I looked Nick Williams in the face and said, you're going to let me do it or I'm not going to do it. The reality is that, like I said, I've been I've been the company 10 years. I've been in this position 5 or 6, I would say. And I want ethical agents. I want people that are going to tell my clients the truth and not try and force something. And I think that you have every right to expect the same thing back from me. Your name goes on my list. I refer back. And I can tell you that while I appreciate Erin as the sister of the owner of my company and she's like family and come to that's fantastic. Her team does a lot of business with me, but they get the same amount of business back as they're giving to me. So if she wants to go to Nick and have some words with him, she's going to have to, because my job is to make sure it's fair across the board for all agents. So I want to honor and appreciate your hard work. I would never take that from you and give it to anybody else, no matter who they are. Yes, absolutely.
How's the vacation rental market been, your estimation this year?
So we are seeing everything come back to about 30% above pre-COVID, which we are anticipating being the new norm. Which is good. I mean, after a 3-year spread, having a 30% increase is pretty decent. It's not wild year over year, but it's a decent increase, which is good. It feels like a loss, maybe for some of your clients in the past 3 years, because they came in at such a high point in the market going, what happened? Well, the market leveled out, right? We were pacing for a record first quarter. Snowmageddon showed up and it tanked even the spring that we had, but our April has increased exponentially, which is not common for April. So we're seeing it even with these like hurdles that the weather's giving us, it's righting itself pretty quickly. So overall, very good. The market is very saturated. 2 bedrooms for 4 or 6. We know that in general, just because Big Bear as a whole is saturated that well. If you take vacation rentals out of the equation, that's a big part of our inventory. So those clients, I think just educating them that, especially in those saturation markets, you will be successful. You will rent your home. You will not make a huge profit. It is about subsidizing the cost of owning a second home. It's about staying with your home for long-term as an investment, enjoying your retirement now, all of those things. It's not going to be a moneymaker, but it is going to be an excellent way to subsidize the cost of owning a home.
Awesome. Any other questions? Thank you.
You're welcome. So really quick, I guess we don't have cards out. That's okay. I will figure something else out. But I did want to say thank you guys, and thank you guys for listening to me ramble for forever. Yes, ma'am.
I'll give you a list of like who all was in
You're
here.
so wonderful. But I guess, okay, so Keller Williams, bold. Who can finish the sentence? Let's see, no pressure.
No, I'm just. Go ahead. You did anymore, but I did not.
I think Tarl said, what is it, Tarl? There it is. No pressure, no diamonds. I think Big Bear as a community has experienced an extreme amount of pressure in these past few years. And I think that Big Bear Vacations as a whole is just really grateful to partner with people like you guys. We know that we're the diamonds that are coming out of this. I know our partnership is going to survive. So Tarl, congratulations. You and Curtis have matching gift bags now. All right, you guys, you have a good one.
Thank you.
Are you? Oh, lucky to get some more. Where you going?
Are we
Well, why
going,
did you-
are we
why
going
were you-
straight into our topic?
Face to face.
Sorry, I'm testing it real quick just to make sure
Well, don't
because
test it in the meeting. Just put it on normal and we'll figure it out later. So we had a property that was set to close, and less than 24 hours from closing, Judy Jackson said, that might not be the seller. And we caught it. And when I say we, I mean Judy caught it.
Yeah.
And then the reason they're here today is it happened again
It's on the rise.
in like 2 weeks.
Oh, okay, we're now at.
So come to the table, join our conversation, lead us in that. You guys can stand up if you want. You can grab a seat or like boardroom, whatever style you like. But like, tell us what's happening and tell us how to prevent if we can.
So why don't we start with what actually happened with you guys? first, like the scenario, and then we can go with what we found from, I have connections all over the mountain, and so Judy had explained it to me, telling me, was like, oh my God, right, because it's something we haven't come across often. And I get a call 3 days later from a dear escrow agent down in Arrowhead, was like, Kelsey, and it wasn't our transaction or anything at this point, and she's starting to tell me the story, and I say, wait, oh my, it's identical. So I'll let Judy start, and then we'll go from there, and we'll talk about some red flags and maybe some best practices.
Okay. So. And Millie's, this is Millie's transaction, and she was a listing agent. She got a referral from Grant Johnson. These people were buying the lot on Creekside, which of course is Meadowbrook. The listing was for 85,000, which is pretty low for that area, but you know, they wanted a quick sale. They did not want a sign put up on the property, which they explained to Millie, you know, that it was, they didn't want some family members to drive by and see that they were selling the property. You know, thinking that Grant had, you know, given her that referral, he had already kind of had a relationship with these people. So yeah, that was a couple of things, but you know, as we do, we just move on with the transaction. We get a call in the office once escrow was open that these people were vacationing in New Jersey and they wanted all their paperwork emailed to them, that they'd get it notarized there. Well, you know, as you guys know, we deal with a lot of people that are either out of state, on vacation, off the hill, that we never see or actually sometimes not even talk to. So email them the paperwork. We get the paperwork back within the day before we were supposed to close by FedEx. And the grand deed is what caught my eye. It was, they had used, there's that I Love PDF where you can change, you know, wording in a document. So they had changed on the notary acknowledgement, they had changed usually if it's out of state, the notary will just strike California right in the state and initial it. This one, they actually changed the state, which caught my eye. It said New Jersey on it. The notary looked a little weird and the signatures looked very similar to each other. They didn't look like they were signed by two different people, but so sent all the paperwork down. It was Orange Coast Title. They looked at it and thought it looked weird also. They wanted a copy of the people's driver's licenses, and they also looked up these people lived in Riverside, so they looked up their property in Riverside. The recorded deed of trust that was recorded against their primary residence, those signatures didn't match up. So anyway, they said, something's going on here. Well, fortunately, we did the escrow when the real people bought it. Ran to storage, got the file. Of course, now this is what's scary. All the husband's information on the statement of information was matched what we were given, which is birthday, social, and driver's license number. The wife just had her driver's license number match. All of the rest of the information didn't match. So I sent that to title, and then I called the phone number I had for the buyer, which was the real owner of the property. She was, the real owner of the property. And so she's like, oh, I mean, she was freaking out. And I'm like, it's okay. I'm calling to let you know what happened. Nothing went through, but since you own other property and these people do have all your information, I think you need to contact the police department and at least file a report. So the transaction just canceled because, you know, it wasn't the real people, obviously. So, but looking up in all the states that do not require a thumbprint for real estate, New Jersey is one of them.
That's where they were.
And that's where they were. So now this other.
Not to mention, they actually send driver's license with those people's information. and a
Yes.
picture on it. It wasn't the seller.
It wasn't the
But it was
seller.
a doctor driver's license.
Yes.
And we've inspected it for over a week. We finally found yesterday, we found one mistake on the girls, like it was the fourth boat. I was looking at it. You can't see this like fourth boat. It's kind of blurry. But who sits and inspects the driver's license that close, right? Especially
It
with
looks-
the volume. It was pretty.
As a notary myself, I would have probably
Yeah.
I would have taken it as an ID if I was presented that, because it looked so good. So anyway, then this girl in Arrowhead.
So I got a call and they were calling me for advice. What should they do? What legality, what team suggests? And she starts telling me the situation and it was exactly the same, right? A low cost vacant lot, out of state sellers, which happened to be this one was Texas, which is another non-fingerprint state.
Right?
They wanted a quick close. Okay, this one had a sign on the property. They actually had this property listed by two separate agents. That's a whole nother story. So and one of them was down the hill, so it was the same exact situation. Red flag, they didn't sign any of the information until the day before, right? So they're holding on to that statement of information aside, but they have everything. They have these people's identities. So they're finding vacant lots. There was another one that happened, and we believe there is one that we are currently in. So we are putting some extra, we're not sure. It's a weird situation.
Is
It's
that
a-
third one a non-fingerprint state?
We haven't gotten
You
to
know.
that point yet. It's a listing. They reached out to our Arrowhead agent to list a property out of area, which makes sense, right? Business is hard. You guys want, you're gonna take that listing right now and it's vacant land. So maybe you have your brother drive by or somebody in the area, right? It's vacant land. How hard could it be? So these are the red flags that we're seeing in this situation. There is also a side note, US Treasury just issued a warning that there's a rise of fraud in land. Okay, so they're finding vacant lots online. They're going on that. This is all
Well, I
public
think the
information.
primary reason they're going to vacant land is because they're primarily cash purchases.
Exactly.
Right. There's usually no
Exactly.
liens
You
against
can
the
do it quick,
property.
they're free and clear.
There's less paperwork that you guys have to do. There's no
Second home
SPQ,
market.
there's the less disclosures. It's a simpler, easier transaction that can just kind of slip through the cracks.
Exactly. They're going after the second home markets where you guys get a lot of people where you don't do face to face,
Right.
right? COVID, as Lindsay had just said, it changed things. They're taking advantage of that. They are taking advantage of that by saying everything's digital these days. So the red flags we're seeing is all cash. We're seeing lower price so it can sell quick. We're seeing an out-of-state seller. Also, every escrow I've talked to or person involved in the transaction have said to me, I knew something was off. There was something that wasn't right. They talked to me and it was a weird, sound like a robot. Another one had
Like
a
the
thick Western
electronic
accent. And
device.
this one had a foreign accent. Okay, which isn't a red flag in its own, right? But they're using these voice changing things.
Devices.
Devices.
Millie said it sounded so weird, she couldn't even hardly understand this person.
Mhm.
And
That's right,
then
it was
talked
the
to him a few times.
accent, and then towards the end, his English got a lot better.
Exactly. And
When
that's what's
everything
going
was
on with
going
Pioneer
like
Town
this.
right now. So we're curious to see how
But
this
it
plays
sounded
out.
towards the end like a machine.
Do you think maybe that the voice changing thing is to drive you to correspondence when you get out of
Yep.
it to answer
Yeah,
you?
exactly.
Probably.
Most of it
Exactly.
was texting or email.
Exactly. So
But
this,
it's like, if you can't speak English, how come you can read English and type it? You know what I mean? How can you email, but you can't talk to me on the phone?
well, this one
Translate.
now, and they're getting, it feels like every transaction, they're getting a little bit smarter because now all of a sudden this email we're dealing with, it's broken English in the email. Like over the top broken English, just like over the top with your notary.
Mhm.
We've also noticed by talking to all these escrows that have been involved, because I have connections with them, Texas seems to be a link. for
Texas
some-
is one of the states that don't require a thumbprint.
So this,
Florida, New Jersey, and Texas so far. I've called the NNA, National Notary Association, to try to get a list of the states that don't require a thumbprint. They don't have one put together. I can go on every individual Secretary of State website to see what they require. So I'm slowly but surely trying to figure out what all these states are, but I don't know.
And
That's,
no,
that's
as
a big one.
it is a big one. And no, so here's what we can do, right? Our title officers are trained to kind of look for discrepancies, look at the statement of information. The problem is, think about it. When it's an all cash deal and it's vacant lot, and if that owner doesn't own any other property, what signature can they check? There's not a deed of trust on record anywhere in California, right? You guys are the first defense. So the escrows are already talking. The escrows in Lake Arrowhead, they're already talking. The escrows in Big Bear, they've all been
I've
connected. now.
been emailing, Tawny, Ashley, Kathy Coogan, and Michelle Light. And the 5 of us have been emailing each other. We're trying to figure out
The best
what we
route.
can do at our office to stop this. And one thing that we're gonna start doing is, as soon as we get a vacant lot escrow in, we're gonna send a letter out to the address that's on the tax roll. Do you own this property? We have just received a new escrow on this property. We just want to confirm. So it's kind of like,
That's what the county's doing.
And
Yeah.
the county does it, so but the problem is then they do it too late. It's
The
15
county
days
does,
after.
yeah, afterwards.
Yeah,
By
it's
the
after
way,
the
somebody
fact.
bought your property.
right.
They send you a copy of the deed, but here's also
Let us
why
know
it's
if there's a problem.
important, and I'm talking to all the escrows because I know sometimes they're in a hurry. We need to have the correct mailing address on the deeds. If you don't have the correct mailing address, which is done by escrow on the left-hand side of the deed, all their mail is gonna go to that address. That's not something, we don't know what their mailing address is, right? So if you guys, I send you guys copies of the deed after they close. If you notice that, hey, 333 Montclair is the house that sold and that's what's used as the address, call me. Because I have I'll give you the form that they need to change with the assessor. So that's another thing you can help your clients. Make sure the assessor has the right mailing address. You guys, all it is a form. I have it. They can even email it to the assessor. I have a contact for you guys. So make sure they have the updated mailing address, right? Because then it's not going to go on for a year or two. It's vacant lot. How often do you guys see that vacant lot sit there?
I have a 3-part question.
Okay.
If this escrow had closed,
Mhm.
what would have happened with escrow? What would have happened with title? And what would have happened with the brokerage? What would the rightful seller have done?
Gone after. We all would be.
We
in court.
all would have gotten caught up in the lawsuit.
What was the reaction of the buyer? How did they found out?
We're
Well,
lucky
actually,
buyers.
it was,
The rightful seller though wouldn't have had any damages because it wouldn't.
They
have
don't own it.
closed. But the buyer is who would have lost out.
Yeah.
No, if it had gone
They-
through,
wait,
the seller would have lost their
No.
property.
No,
because
it's not
they
a
have to
valid-
get
That's my
insurance.
question. Would title insure that?
Yeah, the most, yes, there are, that's what it is. There's nothing to transfer. So your Alta policy always covers it. And this is the LTA. Here's the thing, that deed is invalid.
Right.
That deed is invalid. It doesn't count.
So that's really my question is, title would have covered it, which this is a monetary thing for you guys. Hold on one second. If title covers it, that's why you have title insurance. If it doesn't, we're gonna get a lawsuit. That's an E&O claim, regardless of the outcome. That's 50 to 70% of $15,000 billable to you as the agent. So that's $7,000 to $10,000 mistake. But thank goodness title is gonna cover it.
And that's the thing, it's all gonna depend, title will recoup up front, but if like. Maybe there was fault on somebody else's fault, right? We'll make sure that everybody's protected, but eventually someone else is gonna be looped in. If they didn't use an approved notary, if they didn't follow the regulations, right? And so that's something I want to preempt as well, is
You
that
had
you're
said
gonna,
earlier, I think, when we were talking before
Yeah.
the meeting, that the authorities are saying that there's not much they're gonna do unless it's over 500,000.
The Department of Justice, that's correct.
Oh.
Like if you were
I
to
didn't know that.
contact the,
Makes no sense to me at all.
I know, but it's not enough for them to, because there's so much other stuff,
Yeah.
fraud that goes on. So they just, if it's some little lot that's 85,000. I mean, yeah, you can file a police report, but the whole problem is it didn't go through, so there really wasn't a crime.
right,
So the brokerage is not liable for, I mean, they're not, gonna be held at all? for
You don't know.
buyers?
Who knows what the seller, the real owners, I mean, they would have to go
No,
to
I'm
court.
saying buyer just found out they can't buy this property, it was marketed to them through the brokerage. Do they have a claim against the broker?
That's a great question, because
This
nothing
one we-
closed.
Well-
They were fine,
Well.
but.
The buyer can
I
claim,
signed on it.
the buyer can claim anything, and as the buyer can claim, I was harmed because the brokerage put this up for sale, like you're saying. And I moved out of my house and I was relying on this closing and now I'm homeless and I can't get my other house back or like whatever is happening. They can claim anything they want. That's an E and O claim, and that's $7,000 and $10,000 to $10,000, even if we win.
But they could be doing 1031 on it either. And
Yep.
Now they just
Right.
caused that harm them.
Right,
So we were,
right,
right,
yeah,
exactly, that,
Vacant land and not a house.
right, yeah,
But still, it's
Yeah,
still.
They can claim whatever
But
they want.
you
So
never
really
know.
what we need to do is more diligence with
Yeah.
sellers.
Yes.
Just if it feels fishy. we should-
Well,
And-
and if you can maybe even speak to them, everything is over text and emails now, just like we were saying. Everybody wants to do the quick and easy thing, and it's not like it was the old days where you actually meet with the people and they come in the office, and I'm not saying to do all that, but just a little bit more due diligence on everybody's part is gonna stop this, hopefully, or
right.
slow it down anyway.
And now that all the escrows are in communication, right? So, and you guys, even if you just, here's the thing, if you start getting those red flags, right? It's a vacant lot and they're out of town. And they want to kind of communicate email and maybe the phone sounds funny. You know, part of yours is customer service and building that trust. Say, hey, you know, part of my, and this is just an idea, obviously everyone's gonna have their own take on it. But what I would do is I would say, hey, you know, I want to get to know you. I'm doing a sale. This is a big deal. Let's do a quick FaceTime. I would just love to say hi. I would love to have a face-to-face with who I'm working with. Most people have that capability, right? But who they're going after is the elderly. They're going after elderly and absentee owners, which is what we are full of. So even if you get any pushback on that, maybe that's a red flag, right? Because
Right.
they're not gonna want on their face. So if you're feeling a spiny then, or you get us involved, what we can do is I can search and see if they own any other property. We could probably track them down. We can give them a call to make sure the two are legit, or it's a phone number that's matching whatever you're talking to. We can work together, or whoever your preferred title rep is. Get title and escrow involved, because maybe we put more conditions on it. You're like, I'm not sure. I just have a bad feeling. They want to price it low. They're out of state, right? Then we'll put a little bit more stricter requirements.
Well-
We'll be more diligent as well.
And we've already decided that we do have a transaction like that. And they are out of state. It's going to have to be an approved notary with the title company. And that's it. If they don't like it, then I'm sorry, but we're not gonna handle the
That's a red flag.
transaction.
The
Because
Kelsey Road, you've got the-
Explain to them what's going on a little bit. A real owner, a real seller is gonna be appreciative of that, you know, because hey, you're checking it out and making sure that my house or lot is not being sold out from under me.
Blame it on the office policy.
exactly, that's exactly.
Yeah.
What were you saying?
Well, Rose, she's asking, can you ask if the deal on the lot did go through, does title insurance cover the 85,000?
need 'em.
For the buyer, that's most, in most situations, so
Yeah,
we have to, I mean,
there's no question.
most situations, the buyer's out of money, they insured a deal, right, that wasn't the true buyer. I would assume, yes, I'm not the lawyers, in most cases, I have heard, normally, if a claim does come up, we're out of the loop on it. We don't know what the results are, but our intention is to have everyone covered, so the buyer money will be recouped. That's not to say, just like eventually,
And
right?
eventually.
That's not to say, just like if it was a broker, they
I have a
wouldn't.
question.
But just like Mike said, even if I get my purchase money back through title, which is not what we want to do, but. I'm
I
out
have a
of luck.
question.
My 1031.
Exactly.
Well, so what is it?
And then there's gonna be other lawsuits.
Put it in the chat, put your questions here.
Exactly.
Oh,
I can't write it. I have a question.
who is this?
This is Donna.
Hold on, there's a mutiny in Arrowhead. There's a mutiny on the laptop. We're gonna come to you guys in just a second. Hold tight, hold tight. Go ahead, Christina.
There is actually a lot of studies surrounding catfish, so people that do this, that scam people out of money. And just everything you're saying is just aligning with these studies, that essentially, when it switches to broken English, when it does that, that is intentional.
Yeah.
Because they're testing to see how much you're willing to overlook. So if you're willing to overlook these mistakes, going, well, maybe it's just because they're, maybe what, if you're willing to overlook that, then they know they can scam you. So when it's so blatant up front that something is wrong, it's intentional. They're not dumb. They're making sure that you're willing to look past those things. So do not ignore your
Your
personal
gut.
feelings about that.
As the listing agent, you
feeling.
take the listing, you're telling us, I am 100% confident this is the seller.
Also, guys, social media, Google them, look at their Facebook,
Exactly.
look at their Instagram, reverse search their images to make sure it doesn't come up. There's so many
I
people
tried.
dedicated to
I tried.
scammer websites now, and they use constructed language, copy paste, Google it, and you're gonna find out like that.
Yeah,
I was
teacher
reading about a
used to do
case.
that.
I was reading about a case where, because this is rapid, so I've been doing more and more research to try to find, commonalities, what more can we help? And this all came about, really alerted us in the past 48, 72 hours when I got that second phone call. And then we started talking, looping everyone in and realizing there's more of the situation going on. So one of them, and it wasn't up here on the mountain, but it was in the area, is they Googled, our seller was an elderly lady. They were dealing with someone who was young. Right, so there are ways, it's hard. We've been working at such a
A
high,
Downhill agent.
we have time, right?
Yeah.
All right, I think there's an Arrowhead
How
question.
do you
Alright.
verify?
Hello,
Hello?
Donna, did you still have a
Yes.
question?
Yes, I do. Can you guys hear me?
Yes.
Okay, my question to you is, I'm the TC on this lot. It's a down the hill agent. It's a fast cash deal. How do we verify that this is a real seller?
So we can do a couple things. That's Donna, right?
Yeah.
Okay.
Yes.
Donna, you can email me and I'm more than happy to help. Email me the owner's names. I will look. We'll start doing some research. I'll look and see if they own any other properties in the area. We have to kind of work together as a team and just kind of look at things. And figure
Okay.
out
Ask the fill out a blank SOI complete.
SI, that's a good, and I can do that as well. And we
We're-
can send it in, so we have a signature to compare. And SI, that's a great, thanks for bringing that up, is because that was the flag in Arrowhead, is this escrow office. And this is one that's currently open right now. This escrow office had 11 deals open in a week. They had all the SIs back except this one. And then this guy was also contesting about this interspousal deed we're requiring. So it's just some red flags. So that's a great, and I'm more than happy to send that to you guys out. We have a blank boilerplate. Obviously you want to be careful with what you're doing with that. You can have them give it directly to that title rep. I don't mind taking them and bringing them directly to my office because there are a bunch of information on it. So you just want to be careful because you don't want to lose that
Just
information.
for 30 seconds, because most of these guys know, but just in case, what's on that SOI that's gonna flush this out?
So it's the statement of information. It has their name, it has their address, it has their occupation, how many kids they had, if they're married, what's their social security number, what are their addresses for the last 10 years, where have they lived for the last 10 years?
Are their
It's a lot.
names?
Their full name. It
So they're
is
gonna not
very
wanna fill it
invasive.
out if they're fake.
The problem is,
Well,
they are filling it out. They,
Ours
that's
filled it
that's
out,
the level,
but they
that-
had the wrong information on it.
but
on
they
the
had the
website
right information for
for
the
the
guy.
husband. Yes.
Right? So there's a level of identity theft going on as well, where they're having these information. So luckily, we're
Remember,
tightening.
the sellers just bought it a year ago.
Hey, this XYZ escrow closed this file 3 years ago. We have a high turnover, right? So XYZ closed this file 3 years ago. Let's reach out. Let's see. And that's if you have a spine test. That's if it's a person who's in town.
Will you see if they have anything else?
Hi.
Hey, this is Will. Can you guys hear me?
Yes.
So it seems to me like it wouldn't be a bad idea for us to just go with the seller name and site address and do like a reverse people search and just start with seeing if the same phone number shows up on your reverse people search, and then call whatever phone number does show up and just verify if it's a different number than what the quote seller has given you.
You can also, on all the title, here's another question you can add, and that's a great point, is all the title, you know, like where you get the property profiles, you can search by owner name in the county. So ask them questions, like, do you own any other properties? Do you own any other properties in the county? And then we can check. Or maybe they say, oh yeah, we own one in Riverside, or we don't own any. Okay, let's check all the counties and see.
Because then those documents will be recorded in that county and you can double check the signatures to make sure that they're the same.
And
Right,
another-
and I'm not trying to say the wrong thing here, but reality is,
Here we go.
Yeah.
this is Title's job.
It's, right,
They carry the insurance.
they
They're on the
carry
hook.
the
Right,
insurance.
this is
Yep.
Title's job. So if we assign Title right away and they're able to start their investigation of the whole thing and it's not a 5-day deal and all
Right.
these other things, it causes extra stress and people doing things faster than they should,
We get
things
caught.
will be better controlled too, right?
Yep,
But when the rubber hits the road, it's really
Oh,
a
yeah.
Title issue, right?
Oh, yeah.
One of the problems though is that
if it goes
the
through,
exclusions on the prelim, on your title insurance, it'll have forgery as one of the exclusions.
sometimes,
So they.
not
they-
often,
Good
I've
point.
never,
They'll kind of say, well, we're not, they try to get off the hook right away. but
right.
You take it a step further and then.
Right. So it all depends on what, you know, what that title company has on their exception, right? What is listed on there. I don't believe we have the verbiage forgery on ours. I will double check. It's not something I've come
Well,
across.
it's gonna be fraud and forgery and it's more on, it's aimed at more the agent side if you did something tricky. But that's definitely worth investigating
Disclosure.
is what's
Yeah,
that
I'll look
policy?
into that
But I
for
still
as
think
well.
where we're gonna get into the hot problem is, as agents, we list a property that's really not listed. And then somebody who is a legitimate buyer, who has other transactions going on with that transaction or whatever, that's where we're really gonna get in hot trouble because.
Just don't list land.
Now they're damaged.
Yeah.
Yeah, they're damaged.
Yeah.
Right,
So-
right.
That's what I'm.
And it's everybody, it's ultimately, yes, and our title officers are trained, they are trained, you know? But what do you do when everything's on point? What do you do when there's no signature to check, right? Everybody needs help and we're all in this together. And if you guys can do some of those precursory questions, or if you guys have a weird feeling, just call us so we can be stricter. And also, just be more understanding when you do have vacant land and you come across stricter requirements, such as, you know, now you guys really have to use an approved notary. It can't just be a friend. It can't be a UPS store. And that's gonna take longer
Especially if
and
it's
that's
out
gonna
of
cost a
state.
little bit more money.
Especially if
That's
it's out
where
of
it's
state.
gonna be. In
Because
state,
California
yeah.
requires thumbprints. Well, a criminal is not gonna want to put their thumbprint. That's why they're doing it in the states that don't
Right.
require that. So there's no follow-up later on to try to catch them and throw them in jail.
Right.
So,
And that's what I mean. It will be, we'll have red flags. It's not gonna be every single file. We know vacant land's moving and we get that. But when we out of state, right, and they fast close underpriced, you guys get back like, hey, check this out.
It's the thumb.
We have a question. Yeah, we have a.
Yeah, hold on one
Sorry,
sec.
1 second, I
Zoom.
swear, I'm right there.
so
Who runs it to see if that?
It doesn't get ran.
it doesn't get ran.
Part of the record.
It's kept in our notary book.
But it's after the.
Mhm.
It would all happen after, then the notary would give it to the
At least the
police, they
notary-
would find
Right,
it.
and
Yeah.
they could track down who the real person was.
And we,
Yeah,
yeah.
there's no way to do that. I mean,
It's
There's no
not,
way.
or at least the criminal one.
Well, just like if
Right.
you do anything out of school.
but they're not gonna want to give up their thumbprint.
Yeah.
What's in Zoom land?
What's over here? Who had the question?
Okay. We have a quick question. If the property is being sold in the state of California, why can't we regulate those laws in another state saying, you know what, Mr. and Mrs. Miller, we're the state of California, we are going to request a thumbprint be sent over with our documents to be put within inside our file.
We don't keep copies of thumbprints. That's for the notary's record. That's not our thing.
I
to
know,
have.
but if, since we're having a notary out of state do it, why can't we say, even though you're the notary out of state, since the property is being sold in the state of California, we are going to require the same notary laws that we have to follow in our state. So could you please provide your sheet with the thumbprint?
I would have to check on
If
that. It
you
might be
could, great
ID.
idea.
It could be, right, it could be like, not a HIPAA violation, but that's.
Yeah.
it's
You
a
can't force that
fingerprint.
notary to do something,
No,
but it's a good idea.
It
if you
is,
could.
and that's
Yeah.
why one of the things is we're gonna do is where they need to use a title and escrow company approved notary. So ones that are vetted and ones that we know, right? Instead of Joe Blow off the street.
At some
Well,
BPS.
what I've done in the past with my vacant lots that I receive, like I have one that we put on hold right now because of the snow that we got right before, after the listing that we took, then the big storm came. I called him, but I always did Zoom meetings with him because I didn't know who this person was. So I said, can you do a Zoom meeting? He's like, absolutely. I said, can you hold up your driver's license for me? Because I don't know you.
Exactly.
Great.
And that helps, right? Because yes, they're covered if it goes through, right? We protect them. The buyer will recoup, but what happens if it doesn't, we catch it? Like Steve had said earlier, someone could pee out of their other end of the 1031, right? That someone.
Copy of the driver's license, right?
Mhm.
So that driver's license is not necessarily.
But if you have but here's the thing, do you really think they put their picture on that driver's license? Right,
That's
so
what
if
I'm
you
saying.
have a
If she has
Zoom,
it, it doesn't
right,
count.
if you have a Zoom with them, they're not gonna be as likely to wanna get on a Zoom. They're gonna give you an excuse.
They're gonna say no, and then your
Mhm.
radar is gonna go up. And you're just gonna
Exactly.
pay more attention.
It's tricky into a hotel. Like,
Yeah, probably a good.
Yeah.
Right.
All right. Anything else? Thank you guys for being here. We appreciate you.
Thank you.
All right, we're gonna go straight into tour info.
Okay, goodbye.
Everybody has their sheet.
Well, for it, it's actually 39969.
Which one?
Forest.
This is 9 there.
Typo.
On second lane.